What's going on, guys? This is Empty Box, and this is iRacing Indy Oval Fixed from Road America. They're giving us the opportunity to drive these things on the road course in the Fixed Series this week, which is pretty swell. Anyways, qualifying, complete an absolute utter disaster. I lost connection to the server right as the qualifying session went live, which means I didn't get a qualifying lap. So, starting at the back. And apparently there's a pretty large disparity in iRating in the field in this race. I think someone said that there's a 4,700 iRating driver and an 1,100 iRating driver. So let's go ahead and put that push pass button on there and get a little rocket fuel. Use them cheat codes, get that extra boost.
Car on. Clear. Car on.
So let's go ahead and try and survive here. Pick off a few.
Clear on the right.
Because we should have qualified probably roughly 4th or 5th in terms of pace, but obviously by the time I got rejoined back into the game, the session was already far enough along that I wasn't going to be able to actually get a lap in. Which, yeah, it happens. It is what it is. This race is 20 laps long, though. We're going to break from real world rules, and it's going to be a black. No, we're not going to have to use the blacks. We're going to be going red on the tire strategy. Because iRacing doesn't make you use the blacks in this series for whatever reason. Probably because it's an oval series, and maybe they just didn't even think that far along when they added this to the calendar. Alright, let's get on the button again.
You're in the top 10. Left side. Stay on the right. Clear.
Let's get another one up. Good exit. Save the push here. Again into 5.
Right side. Still there. Hold your line. Clear.
But the pit strategy is probably going to play out. Depends on where we are just in the field. But ideally, it seems like the ideal strategy, at least from my standpoint, traffic be darned, would just be split it in half. Because there is some tire wear with these reds.
Go right.
If you're going to have to make a pit stop anyways for fuel, which your range is about 14 laps with a slight save. Then it's kind of one of those things where why bother with the blacks, obviously, if you're not made to run them. Which is a shame, because I think it'd actually make the race, strategy-wise, much more exciting, because the reds do have fall off. So would you go ahead and just run, 7 or 8 laps, and then jump onto the blacks? But sadly, we don't need to worry about that here today, because iRacing. All right, we're up to 6th place. Kept it clean so far. So, for lack of a better term, we've erased our qualifying. Qualifying didn't happen, and just a little bit further behind than we'd like to be. Race number 1 here on the week. This is race number 2. Went not so well. Essentially started up front, took it easy, was continuing to take it easy and just looped it coming out of turn 5. For really no reason at all. We were in second place right on the tail end of the leader, and I think we had him dead to rights to the point where I have zero question whether or not we would have gotten by him just because of how little I was actually pushing. But, you know, I just looped it, screwed it up, nosed into the wall very slightly, and had to go ahead and make the pit stop that lap. Fortunately, I was able to make it home from that distance with just a slight fuel save going into turn 1, into turn 5, Canada corner there. But hopefully we'll avoid the repeat of that race. Alright, push pass on.
Alright.
Give you about an extra 50 horsepower-ish. Just a little bit more turbo boost, as well as a few hundred more revs. It's not really a thing that's going to essentially make or break you entirely. But you would rather use it than not use it. No one's going to complain about an extra 50 horsepower and 200 revs, right? Although I do want to be mindful of making sure we have some at the end, just in case we either A, end up needing it, or B, depending on how the strategy all plays out. Sometimes it can be more beneficial to use it in between the pit stop cycle. Use it to run a flyer when you have clean air, clean track.
You're in fifth.
Man, Road America and an Indy car. I've talked about it before on this channel. Peanut butter jelly combination. The two go together just so excellently. And you can use literally any era of IndyCar around here, as long as it's designed to also turn left and right.
Still there. Clear on the right.
It's just one of those things where it just works out perfectly. Gotta watch out here, because turn 5 is going to start to get slippery the next few laps. And it really was kind of strange, because in that race that I did earlier, it literally was just turn 5. Every other corner was just fine, but turn 5 just became a skating rink. And I don't think turn 5 is that much slower than, you know, turn 6 at the top of the hill. So it's not like, oh, you know, you just have no downforce there and the tires were worn out or anything. It's just, for whatever reason, I don't know if maybe someone might have had an off or whatever, because the road did look a little bit dirty, but usually it's not that big of an issue. Let's keep on it.
Slow car ahead. Car stopped ahead. Go left.
See? See? I don't quite understand, but turn 5, when you get 6, 7, 8 laps in, on these reds, it just turns to ice. Now, when the update released that made this car actually surprisingly enjoyable to drive, finally, in iRacing, which would have been 6 weeks ago, we're halfway through the season, so easy to remember. But when that happened, I did a bunch of testing that night with the car around here, just because it is such a great combination. And the blacks were just stupendous across the whole run. I mean, you had zero worry about tire wear. It just kept going and going and going and going. It was Energizer Bunny up in there. Whereas the reds, I noticed pretty consistently, once you got 5 laps in, you still had tons of grip, but getting into turn 5, turn 6 was always really dicey. A couple people had mentioned this on the iRacing forums, and they made a change. Apparently there's...
Go right.
There was a tire temperature buildup with straight line speed and the tow settings and all that was causing the issue, but they did an update that supposedly addressed that, but I don't necessarily know if that's actually been addressed, given the fact that it seems like we're turn 5 is just absolute death. It's the guy behind me nearly spun out there. Alright, so we've sneakied up into second place. Which, considering we started at the very end of the field, essentially, in 16th place on lap 7, this race might get pretty boring for you guys to watch. Truly sorry if that ends up being the case, but I'm not going to drive slower. And the guy up front, he's already gone unless he makes a mistake. So I guess we pretty much have settled the discussion for ourselves. We're going to go ahead and make that pit stop on lap 10 and split it in between 2 sectors, 2 stints. 912, 9064. So we did gain that last lap. We'll see. It does look like there's some lap traffic up there. Don't usually say that in an IndyCar race, but again, with the way this grid is composed in terms of drivers of a variety of different skill levels, could become a factor, although hopefully it doesn't become too serious of a factor, although I wouldn't mind if they'd go ahead and bring the leader back to us, you know. We started 16th. I feel like it's fair. Yeah, I feel like it's fair to be like, hey, you know, if you want to bring him back here, you know, I spotted you like 15 grid positions. What more do you want from me?
You have about 5 laps of fuel left.
How many push pass we got left? 7. All right. Pulled 4 tenths out of them there. Woo! Apparently turn 3 is going to be dicey all of a sudden. It's nice and sketchy. Oh, hey, that gap came down. 6.5. Must have had it off track. We're gonna do whatever this guy doesn't do. We're gonna pit in. We're gonna pit in because we're close enough. I wasn't sure he's gonna let us by on the straight there. We're coming up on lap traffic anyways. You know, maybe they'll... Yeah, it looks like that's going to maybe choke up the leader a little bit. Might lose a little bit of time dealing with them. There's our dude, because we're way back here. Alright. Glug, 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 glug. Come on.
All clear. Punch it.
It has been punched. We have punched it. Maybe the guy from Faith No More can tell us what we punched. Be great. Ah, fresh tires, fresh tires, fresh tires. Use the button, get back up to speed. The braking point because you're suddenly going
You got a slow car on the right.
7 or 8 miles an hour faster than what you've been used to. Alright, so hopefully this guy up here, he's going to make his pit stop this lap. That way we don't need to deal with him. Burn it, but gonna need to burn it.
Left side. Indy go. This time by. Still there. Hold your line. Still there. Hold your line. Clear.
Oh, fresh tires just saved our bacon right there. Got just a hint of lock up there.
The leader's pitting now.
to see how close we're at. I think it's about 6 seconds going in.
You got a slow car on the left. Go right.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
You're back in fourth position.
All right, 7-1, but we know the relative time is a little wonky around here. Just keep on it. Definitely have an uphill battle, but one mistake, you're right back into it. God, this thing's so much fun. Yeah, I know why I don't run the Open Series on the ovals, but I don't know why I don't run the Open Series on the road courses. This thing is such a hoot.
You're back in second.
Alright, once we get to fewer laps to go, we'll just start burning the push to pass just to burn it. After all, you can't take it with you. I do want to make sure that if we do end up catching them for whatever reason, either an incident or just pace, we do have something in the bag for us to be able to fight with. So far, car feels good. Certainly got speed. I think we are definitely faster, but coming from a tremendously long way back. You know, gaining 3/10, 4/10 per lap. It's all fine and dandy. Yeah, it's 3/10 right there. 3/10 doesn't get the job done. Doesn't even come close to getting the job done. I mean, I suppose it comes close, but 2 seconds, you know, second place is still second place. I know, he might just be cruising, wait for me to get a little closer. This is one of the rare times where I posted on my Twitter that I was going to be doing this race, as well as the previous time slot. Usually I just kind of jump in, but so there's no telling. You might just be a viewer waiting to make it interesting. We'll probably use second through there. Gap. I suppose it says right on the steering wheel. So that's another, just about a 10. 6 to go. Next lap we'll start burning them. There's enough to push the pass just because we have it. Gonna get a little dicey through there now. I felt that grip starting to drop off there. That's poor. It's a terrible corner. Ah! Maybe first is the answer through there. A little bit more rotation, a little bit extra pop.
5 laps to go.
You gotta try something. Start burning the push to pass. Maybe that's the speed secret. Extra 2/10. It's gonna make all the difference. Boy, oh boy, if only iRacing didn't screw me over with a losing connection in the qualifying. If only. I think now he's got the pace advantage. Yeah, because he pulled out a massive gap that lap. I think our tires have hit the cliff. It's turn 5, you definitely got to be careful in. The other corners, I think you have enough downforce that it becomes less an issue, but it's sketchy. Turn 6 is also getting sketchy. They're all sketchy! Yeah, I think we've just simply done too much. Trying to make up a essentially insurmountable gap. So we were definitely flying there for a moment, but eventually the tires just say, no more, I got no more. And then you just brake way early. Let's try up the hill, see what difference that makes. Not sure which straightaway is actually technically longer or more effective to use the push to pass on. It's probably actually the main straight now that I think about it. You're going uphill. Plus, I do think it is a actually longer straightaway, even though turn 5 also feels sufficiently long. But, you know, it is what it is. He does it. So, well, as we close in down here, apologies for a race that just hasn't really fired off, unfortunately. I mean, yeah, the first few laps were definitely exciting, but I don't know, she ain't got anything left in the tank for her. It is all up to the other guy to make a mistake. That's the only way he's gonna lose this race. But one thing I will say, just talk about for a moment here, Phil, on the last 2 laps here. You know, I don't know what the count is on the number of cars, but since I've returned to iRacing, I feel like every race I've posted, except for there's 2 races in the LMP2 car, has been in a different race, and just a little thing, that makes me happy. It makes me very happy, and hopefully you guys enjoy the wide variety of content and all that. You know, it's one of those things where in the real world, my favorite drivers drive everything, you know. My favorite driver of all time, Montoya, you know. At least once he came over to the United States in the first hand, you know, being Juan Montoya. You know, ever since that lap in Detroit where he bounced off the walls twice and put it on pole. Pretty much the greatest qualifying lap I've ever seen, and yes, that includes that lap of Senna, and people are going to hate me for that, but yeah, you know. But, you know, followed him to Formula One when he did that, and, you know, was a fan, and even NASCAR, and then back to IndyCar, and then sports cars, and back to IndyCar. You know, throughout the history of racing, guys like Mario Andretti and Dan Gurney, you know, in particular, it's just, I place a high value on that, and that's why this channel, in terms of the racing, reflects that. And hopefully you guys understand that. Yeah, I could spend more time just driving one car type even, but for me, that's no fun. Part of sim racing is the fact that you do get to do silly, fun stuff where you just, you know, hey, I'm going to go ahead and jump into an IndyCar on an oval or a road course. Now I'm going to jump into a LMP2 car. I'm going to drive a GT3 this time around, just because. You know, maybe jump into Skip Barber. You know, let's do some short track oval racing. And that's why I like it, and that, quite frankly, is 100% of the reason why, why I even bother with iRacing in the first place, is because it's the only place where I can realistically actually get what I'm looking for in terms of sim racing, and that tremendous diversity in terms of, you know, different types of racing. And that's why, you know, this is the racing sim for me. This is why I spend most of my time here, even if there are lots of things that just grind my gears, drive me crazy, and make me have a not so great time at times, but that's what I'm here for. So hopefully, now that I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm getting into these races more often and more regularly, start to be able to go back and visit some of the other sims and all that. Just been kind of a hectic week or two here, and that's that. And I just realized we didn't burn our push to pass, but yeah. So Automobilista 2, an updated review and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's in the works, as well as I'm sure eventually we'll do some AI racing, kind of like what I used to do way back
There's
when.
the flag. It's over. Nice run. Solid work.
But that's going to do it. The guy just drove away, had no competition. You know, we spotted him 15, 20 seconds. Just, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying we would have won, because you never know, but it is what it is, and unfortunate, because I think me and the other guy would have had a pretty good battle, because I think we might have been a little bit faster over a one-lap pace from the way that second stint played out, but maybe is saving a little bit. But unfortunately, we were robbed by the connection gods of a great race. It says just a merely good race. But anyways, gained some high rating, kept it clean, everything all happy. Not too bad when you're starting 16th place. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Roll on the Carnage Report. Bye.